You take care of your aquarium with all affection, But suddenly you start to notice those green spots on the glass, on the stones, on the leaves, and when you realize, the algae have already dominated everything. The worst, they grow fast, are hardy, and if you don't act now, they can turn your aquarium into a dirty, ugly, and completely out of control environment. The truth is that most people feed the problem without noticing, repeating simple habits and mistakes that work as fuel for algae, and that's exactly what I'm going to talk about today. What you need to stop doing immediately to have a crystal clear aquarium, balanced and free of this green nightmare. We'll show you step by step each attitude that is favoring the algae in your tank, how to correct and how to prevent them so they never become a serious problem again. And I warn you, the last item of this list is the most ignored, but it is precisely what makes the algae multiply, and almost no one talks about it. So if this content was important to you already, leave the like. If you want more content like this, subscribe to the channel and stay with me until the end. Because if you want a beautiful and healthy aquarium, what I will show you today is simply indispensable. Excessive lighting, the perfect invitation for algae lighting, is essential for any aquarium, especially if you have natural plants. It provides energy for photosynthesis and keeps plants healthy and vibrant. But when used incorrectly, it becomes the best ally of algae. The most common mistake is to leave the light on for too long, more than 10 hours a day. Algae, like plants, use light to grow, and when they are overlit, they take advantage of every minute to multiply rapidly. In a short time, the glass, stones, and leaves are covered by that nasty green layer. Another problem is to use too strong lighting for the size of the aquarium or the type of plants you have. This creates an imbalance, excess light and lack of nutrients for the plants, making room for algae to dominate. How to fix? Keep the light on for 8 to 9 hours per day at most. Use a timer to ensure regularity and avoid forgetting the light on. If you do not have demanding plants, use lamps of moderate intensity. Place the aquarium away from windows or places with direct sun. Extra natural light is fuel for algae. In Aquasim, more light does not mean more beauty, it means more chance of algae to multiply. Controlling the time and intensity of lighting is one of the simplest and most effective steps to keep clear water and plants ahead of algae. Overfeeding, the invisible feast of algae feeding the fish, is one of the most pleasurable moments for any aquarist. It is when we see our animals active, interacting, and often even asking for more food. The problem is that this desire to please can easily turn into overfeeding, and this is an open invitation to algal blooms. When you offer more feed than the fish can consume in 2 to 3 minutes, the excess sinks and accumulates at the bottom of the aquarium. This leftover food begins to decompose, releasing nutrients like nitrates and phosphates, exactly what algae need to grow. In addition, leftover food can clog the filter, increase the organic load of water, and even generate bad smell. And more overfeeding also harms the fish themselves, causing digestive problems, obesity, and reduced life expectancy. How to correct? Feed only the amount your fish can eat in up to 3 minutes. If there is food left over, remove the excess immediately with a net or siphon. Prefer small portions divided throughout the day rather than a large meal. Adjust the amount whenever you add new fish or change your diet. Remember, well-fed fish are not fish that eat until there is food left at the bottom. The best way to take care of them and keep the aquarium healthy is to control the quantity and avoid waste. By reducing overfeeding, you not only protect fish health, but also cut off one of the largest sources of nutrients for algae. Lack of regular partial exchanges, the silent accumulation that feeds the algae of the water of the aquarium, is a closed system. Everything that enters remains there in some way. Over time, food scraps, fish feces, dead leaves, and other organic waste decompose, releasing nitrates and phosphates to nutrients that, in excess, work as fertilizer for algae. When you exchange little or no water, these compounds accumulate silently. The water may even look clean to the naked eye, but chemically, it is saturated with algae food. This excess creates the perfect environment for sudden outbreaks, covering windows, plants, and decor with that unwanted layer of green or brown dot. And it's not just aesthetic. High levels of nitrates and phosphates also harm fish health and weaken plants, leaving even more room for algae to dominate. How to correct? Make weekly partial changes of 20% to 30% of the water. Always use conditioner to remove chlorine and heavy metals before putting in the new water. Take advantage of the exchanges to siphon the substrate and remove accumulated debris. Avoid very large exchanges at once, as this can destabilize the chemistry and stress the fish. Partial exchange is like a renewal of the aquarium. You keep the environment clean, reduce excess nutrients, and prevent algae from finding the perfect setting to multiply. In aquarism, constancy is more important than intensity. Small, regular maintenance is much more effective than large, sporadic cleanings. Poorly cared substrate and filter, the secret nutrient deposit for algae. Substrate and filter are like the invisible base of your aquarium. It is in them that much of the dirt and organic matter accumulates, food scraps, feces, dead leaves, and even dust brought by air. The problem is that when these wastes stand still for a long time, they begin to decompose, releasing nitrates, phosphates, and other compounds that work as fertilizer for algae. In the case of the substrate, the accumulation of debris creates small pockets of dirt that, in addition to feeding algae, can release gases harmful to fish health. Already in the filter, an excessive accumulation of dirt decreases water flow, impairs filtration, and creates areas with little oxygenation, where unwanted bacteria can develop. How to correct? Substrate. During partial changes, use the siphon to remove only excess dirt from the surface, avoiding turning deeply, especially in planted aquariums. Filter, clean, gently, and alternately. Wash the mechanical media sponges with water taken from the aquarium itself, and never clean them all at once so as not to lose the beneficial bacteria. Keep the water flow constant so that filtration works efficiently. Keeping substrate and filter clean without exaggeration is essential to reduce the organic load in water and cut off one of the main sources of algae food. Remember, too much cleaning can hurt, but cleaning less creates the perfect scenario for them to master. Overpopulation of fish. When excess of life becomes a problem, having an aquarium full of fish can even look nice and lively. But this excess almost always charges a high price. Each fish produces waste all the time, be it from feces, breath, or food leftovers. The more fish in the aquarium, the greater the amount of organic matter being released into the water. This excess waste decomposes, generating nitrates and phosphates, exactly what algae need to grow. And as if that were not enough, overpopulation also increases fish stress, promotes disease, and reduces the overall water quality. The problem is aggravated when the filter is not sized to handle so much organic load. Even with frequent partial changes, accumulation is inevitable and creates a perfect cycle for constant outbreaks of algae. How to correct? Respect the capacity of your aquarium. A basic rule is to consider 1 centimeter of adult fish for each liter of water, but always taking into account the actual size that the species reaches and its behavior. Prefer to keep fewer fish and offer a more comfortable space, rather than overloading the system. Invest in efficient filtration and regular maintenance to remove waste. A balanced aquarium is not one that is full of life, but rather one where each fish has space and ideal conditions to live. Controlling the population is one of the most important steps to reduce the amount of food available for algae and keep the environment healthy. Lack of fast-growing plants, leaving the way free for algae in a balanced aquarium. There is a constant competition for nutrients between plants and algae. When you don't have enough plants, especially fast-growing plants, the algae are practically without competition, taking advantage of every gram of nitrate and phosphate available in the water. Plants such as Elidea, Kabamba, and Rhododendron are true machines of nutrient absorption. They grow fast, use light efficiently, and remove the compounds from the water that algae also need to multiply. Without these plants, the environment is unprotected, and any small imbalance in lighting, feeding, or maintenance can trigger an outbreak of algae. In addition, fast-growing plants help oxygenate the water, provide shelter for fish and invertebrates, and contribute to the natural aesthetics of the aquarium. That is, they not only combat algae, but also improve the quality of life of the entire ecosystem. How to fix? Add fast-growing plants in your aquarium, even if you have other slower species. Do regular pruning to stimulate new shoots and maintain healthy growth. Combine different types of plants to occupy various areas of the tank, preventing algae from finding free space. The more strong and active plants you have, the less chance the algae will have to dominate. It is a direct competition, or the plants, win, or the algae win. And to keep your aquarium beautiful, you need to make sure that the plants are always ahead. Avoiding algae is not just about cleaning the glass or scraping rocks when the problem appears. That's treating the symptom, not the cause. The real secret lies in prevention, creating a balanced environment where algae simply do not find ideal conditions to multiply. Control lighting, feed the right amount, make regular, partial changes. Keep substrate and filter clean without exaggeration. Avoid overpopulation of fish and invest in fast-growing plants. All this works together so that your aquarium is clear, healthy, and beautiful all year round. Remember, in aquarism, consistency is more important than drastic actions. Small, correct actions done regularly give much better results than large and sporadic interventions. Now tell me in the comments, which of these mistakes have you ever made? If this video helped you, leave the like to support the channel, sign up and activate the bell to receive more tips that really make a difference in the day-to-day of your aquarium, and share with that friend who is always fighting against algae. Because maybe what he needs is not more cleaning, but more prevention.